Caught in a storm, rain lashing your face, your gear feels like dead weight. And the trail, well, that just vanishes into the fog. How do you conquer the unknown? This is the kind of challenge history's greatest explorers faced, testing their limits, adapting on the fly, and forging ahead no matter what. Yet these invaluable lessons are often overlooked by many modern hikers. Today, we're uncovering 10 uncommon hiking tips inspired by legendary explorers. Strategies to help you tackle the unexpected and turn every hike into an adventure worth remembering. Hi, I'm Mauser, and with over 30 years of hiking across Tasmania and beyond, I've learned that the best lessons often come from unexpected places, like the lives of these legendary explorers. Let's dive into their stories and uncover some unique tips to elevate your hikes. Persevere like Roald Amundsen. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Amundsen? Amundsen. Roald Amundsen, Norwegian guy, the first person to reach the South Pole, succeeded where others failed. When this explorer set out to reach the South Pole in 1911, he knew he was in a race against time, nature, and a rival led by an expeditioner called Robert Falcon Scott. Amundsen's success wasn't a fluke. It came down to meticulous planning and breaking the monumental challenge into manageable steps. This disciplined approach not only gave them the edge over Scott, but also ensured they had the strength to make it back home safely. What can we, as outdoor enthusiasts, as bushwalkers, as hikers, learn from this? Well, tackling a challenging walk can feel a little overwhelming if you focus only on the finish line. Instead, adopt Amundsen's strategy. Break big goals into smaller milestones. Here's how you can apply it next time you're out there. Firstly, set mini goals. Don't fixate on the summit alone. Focus on reaching the next bend, the next ridge, or the next trail marker. Break it into little steps. Keep a steady pace. Hike at a pace you can maintain throughout the day, even on tough terrain. Don't try to speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. Try and maintain a steady pace. Celebrate small wins. Each milestone you reach is progress. Take a moment to acknowledge it. It keeps you motivated. Every time you get to that next little rest stop you were aiming for, give yourself a little pat on the back. I have used this approach countless times, and on those really big days when I've had 30 kilometers or more to just get through that day, I have just focused on the next river, the next rest stop, and it has helped spur me on all day. I've got these little goals in my head throughout the day. Now, while perseverance can help you reach your destination, curiosity can make the journey itself a little bit more meaningful. Embrace curiosity like Marco Polo. Now, unlike my kids who think Marco Polo is a game you play in the swimming pool at the summertime, Marco Polo was one hell of an expeditioner and traveller and explorer back in the day. Marco Polo's travels along the Silk Road were driven by an insatiable curiosity. He ventured into the unknown and documented wonders that amazed Europe for centuries. And on the trail, embracing this Polo-like curiosity can transform every hike into a richer experience. So how can you channel your inner explorer? Well, I love carrying my little trusty field guides that I've guides, not the guys, the guides, the field guides. I've had these for years, and I don't take these so much these days because you can also leverage technology. In some areas, you can use plant and wildlife identification apps to explore an area's unique environment. Or you can just take a few photos while you're out there and learn more about the stuff that you've identified when you return home. Every bird, every unusual rock formation you see, or even a flower or a tree, becomes an opportunity to learn and appreciate the area's natural details. And I love to come home and just figure out what was that I saw when I was out there. And then the next time you're on a walk, you might be walking past a tree and you go, oh, hang on, that's a Huon pine. You're just walking through a little forest and you see a Huon pine, you go, that's a Huon pine. I figured out what that was once before, and here is this rare tree that I'm just found in the wilderness. It's an awesome feeling. Another thing I like to do is also to take notes while I'm on a walk so that I don't forget these details. I'll use either my notes app on my phone or my little field notes notebook that I take with me on my walk. These little things help me keep track of the little things that I may forget later on. And I think, hey, I'll just remember that and look it up later. Often you don't. Take a photo, write a note down. Now, in the moment, you often think, oh, I won't forget that. But all too often we do. And you get back home or you finish the day's walk and you say, what was that thing I saw again? But if you took a photo, if you took a note, if you wrote it down, you'd remember and you'd be able to look it up later. I really do love being able to look back at the images and notes to remind me of my time on the trail. And today I still even look back at notes I wrote down on a trip 20 years ago. And these days it all goes in a little database and I can look back on everything. It's really nice to be able to just remember that stuff. And speaking of noticing the little things, let's talk about someone who took observation to the next level. Observe like Sir Hubert Wilkins. Sir Hubert Wilkins was a remarkable Arctic explorer, aviator and photographer whose life was defined by his ability to adapt and observe. He was the first person to fly over the Arctic. He pioneered aerial exploration in Antarctica, and he even attempted to reach the North Pole in a submarine. He's probably Australia's most unknown or least well-known explorer. And when you mention his name, a lot of people have never heard of him. But his success in some of the harshest environments on Earth, they came from his extraordinary attention to detail. Reading the terrain, spotting weather changes, and recognising potential dangers long before they became threats. For Sir Hubert Wilkins, observation wasn't just a skill, it was a survival tool. His ability to notice and interpret subtle clues in his surroundings often made the difference between success and failure in life or death situations. Not life and death. It's not life and it's life or death situations. You know what I mean. When you're out on a walk, honing your powers of observation can keep you safe, prevent you from getting lost, and make your hike far more rewarding. And it's not just about spotting the hazards, it's about connecting deeply with the environment that is around you. And here is how you can practice the very dark art of observation on your next walk. Pause regularly. Take a very brief break every half hour or so, just a couple of minutes, to scan your surroundings. Look for natural markers like unique trees, rock formations, or bends in the trail. And I'm doing this all the time. I'm just having little breathers, only for a few seconds sometimes, and I'm just having a look around, taking in the view, looking at the nice stuff, but I'm also trying to just sort of remember stuff as I go as well. This habit helps you stay oriented, and it can be invaluable if you need to retrace your steps later on. Check for weather changes. Keep an eye on the sky. Are the clouds thickening or is the wind picking up? Subtle shifts in weather can signal bigger changes ahead, giving you time to adjust your plans and your gear. And we'll often be on a hike and see a big storm cloud approach, and you can see the rain in the distance. At that point in time, we know we better get ready to get some wet weather gear on. Get to know the track. When you're on a walking track like many of those here in Tasmania, it can be easy to go the wrong way by following a false lead. These false leads they look like tracks, but they're places other people have gone the wrong way previously. And often many people have gone the wrong way previously. That is a very common thing here. Learning to know when you have drifted off the track can save you a great deal of time and frustration later on. I remember a walk to Tasmania's Franklin Range once, about maybe 12 or 13 years ago. We were on day one, and after a clear start, we found ourselves on a summit in very thick mist and quite a bit of rain. But we were happy with our progress, and from the summit, we continued on in the direction we had been walking, just following our lead. It was only then, during our afternoon break, a little while later, that the skies cleared. We came to a realization that we had been walking down the wrong ridge for over 1.5 hours. We should have been more observant and careful in the conditions, and that was a big lesson learned. But while observation keeps you grounded, adaptability ensures you're ready for whatever the trail throws at you. Adapt like Jessica Watson. Jessica Watson, the young Australian sailor who circumnavigated the globe solo at the age of 16, faced unpredictable seas, towering waves, and moments of isolation. Her inspirational success wasn't just about bravery or skill, it was her ability to adapt quickly and find creative solutions to unexpected challenges. Whether it was rerouting her course to avoid a storm or repurposing onboard materials to fix her equipment, Jessica's adaptability kept her journey on track. And when you're on the track or on the hiking trail, the same principle applies. Conditions can change in an instant. The weather can turn, a piece of gear might fail, or a route could prove a little more difficult than expected. Flexibility and resourcefulness can turn these moments from trip enders into manageable detours. Practical tips for adaptable hiking. Pack multi-use gear. Carry items that serve more than one purpose. For instance, a lightweight fleece can keep you warm, double as a pillow when you're sleeping at night, and even provide extra padding in an emergency. A sturdy bandana, like a buff or something, could work as a sweat rag, as a sling, or even a fix for quick gear. I know I've even used mine to sort of put cold water on it to ice my leg a little bit when I've bumped my leg. That's a good thing to do sometimes. This kind of flexibility ensures that you're ready for unexpected situations without overloading your pack with unnecessary stuff. Always have backup navigation. Now, while GPS devices and phones are just incredibly useful, they're not foolproof. Batteries die, devices malfunction, and signal loss can happen in remote areas. Always carry a physical map and a compass as backup. Knowing how to use them is equally as important, so practice basic navigation skills before hitting the track. Be mentally prepared to adapt. Flexibility isn't just about gear, it's about mindset. Unexpected challenges on the trail can feel overwhelming if you're stuck in a rigid plan. Embrace the idea that hiking is as much about the journey as the destination. Whether it's taking a detour around flooded paths or just adjusting your pace to match the group, staying open-minded will make your experience so much more enjoyable. Before every big trip I head out on here in Tasmania, I always prepare myself mentally for what may be a miserable trip with weather. Preparing myself certainly softens the blow when it does eventuate. And when it doesn't, well, that's a bit of a bonus. Adaptability is a hiker's best friend. With the right gear, mindset and preparation, you'll be ready to face unexpected challenges and keep your adventure on track. Channel Jessica Watson's spirit of resourcefulness, and remember, the best journeys are often the ones that test your ability to adapt. And just as adaptability helps you manage the moment, recording your journey adds depth to your experience. Record the details like Keith Lancaster. Keith Lancaster was a legendary Tasmanian bushwalker whose 65-year career saw him complete nearly 250 expeditions. Just crazy, crazy stuff. Now, I've met people that knew Keith Lancaster, and they've told me a few stories about him over the years. His dedication to precision was unmatched. He meticulously documented every climb and walk in his diaries. These records today remain an invaluable resource, offering insights into trails and routes decades later after he completed them. Keith's attention to detail wasn't just about tracking distances, it was about preserving experiences and retaining knowledge. And I guess he would write these for himself initially. He would return to the same areas quite often, and he could refer to his notes from previous trips. But today, his diaries continue to fascinate hikers, though it's important to remember that the conditions in the wilderness change over time. So I'd never take his diaries as gospel. Why document your hikes? Keith's practice shows how recording your adventures adds value to every journey. It helps you learn from the trail, reflect on challenges, and preserve memories. And these memories might inspire others one day. For years, I have documented my journeys. In the early days, these were just short bullet points on little notepads, but then it developed into little notes in my phone. These days, I keep a diary in the app I use called Notion of all of the walks that I do. It is great because when I'm heading back into the same region again, I can look back on past trips and see if I need to account for anything that I hadn't thought of already. It is something that I highly recommend doing for each trip that you go on. And on that point, if you're interested in seeing the notes that I take on my trips, well, sign up to the newsletter down below or just here. It's a weekly newsletter that I put out. There's the occasional trip report as well. So if you want to see how I structure my sort of trip reports and notes, then sign up to the newsletter down below. So how do you start your hiking journal? Well, log the essentials, note the trail conditions, the weather, and the key landmarks along the way. These details can help you plan future trips. Add some personal reflections. Record how the hike made you feel, what you learned, or moments that really stood out, and even just how you felt physically after each day to gauge how hard it was. And then you just need to find your format, whether it's an app, a spreadsheet, or a notebook. Choose a method that suits your style. You might just write them in a little notepad and that's it, that's fine. Keith Lancaster's legacy shows us that every hike has a story worth recording. Take a page from his book literally and start documenting your own adventures. Who knows, your notes might just guide your grandkids down the same track in years to come, much like my family has done. Lead like Sir Ernest Shackleton. Sir Ernest Shackleton is one of history's greatest examples of leadership under pressure. And if you haven't heard of him, well, during his ill-fated 1914 Antarctic expedition, Shackleton's ship, called the Endurance, became trapped in pack ice in Antarctica and was eventually crushed while all of the crew stood along and watched. Stranded in one of the harshest environments on Earth, Shackleton didn't just save himself, he brought every single crew member back alive after nearly 2 years of unimaginable hardship. Well, how did he do it, I hear you ask? Shackleton's ability to stay calm under pressure, communicate effectively, and put his team's well-being above all else turned a potential tragedy into a story of resilience. And it is a very good story to read. You can get the book. He recognised that leadership isn't about barking orders, it's about listening, adapting, and inspiring trust. For hikers, leadership on the trail may not involve Antarctic ice floes and pack ice, but it plays a crucial role in group safety and enjoyment. A strong leader sets the tone for collaboration, ensures the group stays on track, and helps manage challenges with a steady hand. How to be a great leader on the trail. Discuss plans before you start. Clear communication at the start of a hike is essential. Go over the route, the expected pace, the planned breaks, and any potential hazards along the way. Make sure everyone in the group feels comfortable with the plan and has a chance to share their input. I take a lot of groups hiking, often with inexperienced hikers. And one thing I always do, I am planning the trip well before we head out. I'm sending everyone an itinerary. I'm getting feedback. We are changing the route before we even head out on the track and getting a firm idea of what we're going to be doing. We're planning it all out. Then by the time we hit the trail, we know, everyone knows exactly what is going on. Set a comfortable pace for everyone. The fastest hiker isn't necessarily the best leader. A good leader sets a pace that accommodates the slowest member of the group, and this ensures that no one feels rushed or left behind. This builds trust and keeps the group cohesive, and this is particularly important when you're walking with young people and kids, who you've often got to slow down because they're going too fast and they're just going to wear themselves out, and that's a whole other story. Check in regularly. On tricky sections of the trail or during long hikes, take time to check in with everyone. Ask how they're feeling, physically and mentally. So how you doing? You feeling all right? And if they're not, you need to adjust plans if necessary. These small acts of care show the group that their well-being is a priority. Keep spirits high. Shackleton was a master at maintaining morale. I mean, those guys were out there camping under boats and stuff for 2 years. I can't imagine it. On the trail, this can be as simple as offering words of encouragement, sharing snacks, or taking a moment to appreciate what a great view is all together as a group. A positive attitude is contagious and can make even tough sections of the hike more enjoyable. And we will often find ourselves laughing in some of those really tough sections where we're just egging each other on to keep moving. I once remember taking a group to Tasmania's Frenchman's Cap Walk. Now, we were doing this as a 3-day walk, what's normally a 4-day walk, but on day 2, we made the long return walk to the peak, and the weather unexpectedly turned, with wind and rain making the trail slippery and visibility basically non-existent. Now, a couple of people in the group were really worried and quite scared, but by staying positive and keeping the group calm and adjusting our pace and making sure that everyone stayed warm and hydrated and well fooded, well, they were eating lots of snacks anyway. Anyway, we navigated the difficult conditions together, and what could have been a stressful experience turned into a memorable adventure. And we all had a pretty good day in the end. And it was all thanks to teamwork and trust. Leadership on the trail is about more than guiding the way. It's about fostering collaboration, ensuring safety, and creating a positive group dynamic. Take inspiration from Shackleton's example. Stay calm, communicate clearly, and always put your team first. With good leadership, even the toughest hikes can become absolutely unforgettable experiences. Navigating challenges as a leader is one thing, but navigating the terrain itself requires precision and skill. Endure like Olegas Truchanas. Olegas Truchanas was a pioneer of environmental conservation in Tasmania, renowned not only for his love of the wilderness, but also for his incredible physical endurance. He dedicated his life to capturing the beauty of Tasmania's wild places through photography, often trekking for days through rugged terrain with heavy equipment to document the landscapes that he loved. And his photographs played a pivotal role in inspiring the conservation movement in Tasmania. For Truchanas, endurance wasn't just about physical stamina. It was about a deep respect for the land and a commitment to preserving it for future generations. He believed that true connection with nature comes from both experiencing it and taking responsibility for its protection. What hikers can learn from Olegas. Hiking requires a blend of physical endurance and environmental awareness. Whether you're on a day hike or a multi-day trek, pushing through physical challenges is only part of the journey. The other part is ensuring your presence leaves no lasting harm to the environment. Practical tips to hike with endurance and respect. Follow the leave no trace principles. Stick to the leave no trace guidelines to minimise your impact on the environment. This includes things like carrying out your waste, respecting wildlife, and leaving what you find. These small actions ensure that natural spaces remain pristine for future hikers. Build your physical endurance. Train for longer hikes by gradually increasing your mileage and carrying heavier loads on practice treks. Being physically prepared reduces strain and lets you focus on enjoying the experience. Every time I hike in Tasmania, I channel Olegas Truchanas' spirit. On grueling trails in southwest Tasmania, I picture him navigating these remote regions with his cumbersome and heavier equipment. His dedication not only inspires me to persevere, but also to cherish the privilege of exploring such untouched landscapes. Olegas Truchanas showed us that endurance is about more than reaching a destination. It's about honouring the land you traverse. By hiking with care and respect, you can protect the wilderness for others to enjoy while deepening your own connection to nature. Endurance is critical, but so is creativity when problem solving on the trail. Thrive like Thor Heyerdahl. Thor Heyerdahl wasn't just an explorer, he was a pioneer in proving that ingenuity and resilience could conquer the impossible. In 1947, Heyerdahl embarked on the Kentucky expedition, sailing a handmade raft from South America to Polynesia across 4,300 miles, which is about 6,900 kilometres of open ocean over 101 days. And why did he do this? Well, he was trying to prove that the South American peoples could have reached Polynesia using ancient raft building techniques. And what made his journey extraordinary wasn't just the distance, it was how he thrived in the face of limited resources and constant challenges. Armed with basic tools and materials, he and his crew weathered storms, shark encounters, and the vast isolation of that massive Pacific Ocean. Their ability to innovate and adapt turned a fragile raft into a vessel capable of making history. For hikers, Heyerdahl's story reminds us that creativity and resourcefulness are essential for thriving in unpredictable conditions. Now, whether it's repairing broken gear or improvising when plans go awry, thinking outside the box can turn a setback into an opportunity. Here's how to thrive on the trail like Heyerdahl. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't think I am. Pack a reliable repair kit. Include essentials like a little bit of duct tape, some zip ties, and a basic, just small multi-tool or a pocket knife. These items can fix torn gear, repair straps, or secure broken poles, ensuring that your gear stays functional even when it fails. Stay calm under pressure. Just as Heyerdahl trusted his raft and crew to navigate the Pacific, trust in your abilities and your preparation. Staying calm and focused helps you think clearly and to adapt to the challenges. Now, I have seen and faced various gear malfunctions over the years. For example, when a buckle on my backpack snapped, like my main harness buckle snapped halfway into a multi-day trek. Well, with limited options, I improvised, used a bit of rope, a bit of duct tape from my repair kit, and it wasn't perfect, but it did hold up for the remainder of the trip. It wasn't very comfortable, but it just reinforced to me the importance of creative problem solving when you're out on the trail. I do now carry an extra buckle as a spare whenever I go on a trip though. It just comes every time. Thor Heyerdahl's expedition proves that thriving in the wild isn't just about having the best gear, it's about using your wits and making the most of what you have. On your next hike, channel his spirit and ingenuity and resilience. When the unexpected happens, remember that with a little creativity, you can overcome almost anything the trail throws your way. But resourcefulness is only part of the equation. To truly tackle the toughest challenges, you need the kind of resilience that keeps you moving forward no matter what obstacles arise. Stay resilient like Nellie Bly. Now, Nellie Bly wasn't just an explorer, she was a trailblazer who defied societal norms for the time and pushed boundaries. But listen to this. In 1889, she set out to circle the globe in less than 80 days, inspired by Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days. She even met Jules Verne on the way around. I mean, it's a crazy story. It's worth reading. Bly's journey took her across oceans, continents, and cultural barriers, completing the feat in just 72 days in 1889. Her resilience shone through as she navigated delays, unexpected challenges, and unfamiliar territories. Can you imagine going around the world then in 1889 in 72 days? I cannot. With sharp problem-solving skills and determination, she proved that adventure isn't limited by gender or expectations. In the same way, every hike comes with its own challenges, whether it's unpredictable weather, an unfamiliar trail, or just mental fatigue. Nellie Bly's story reminds us to stay resilient and adapt to setbacks, keeping our focus on the bigger goal. Prepare for the unexpected. Use a gear list and bring essential items like a rain jacket, extra snacks, and a fully charged power bank. Resilience starts with preparation. Stay mentally strong. Pack a small token of motivation, whether it's a photo on your phone of something that inspires you, a quote, or a musical playlist you're going to listen to. This will help keep your spirits high when the going gets tough. I myself, I've just got a bunch of David Goggins quotes that I refer to, but that's another story for another day. Nellie Bly's resilience and adventurous spirit remind us that hiking isn't just about reaching the destination, it's about how you rise to the challenges along the way. But what happens when those challenges push you beyond what you think you are actually capable of? Prepare and persevere like Ranulph Fiennes. What does it take to conquer the toughest challenges in life and adventure? Sir Ranulph Fiennes is often called the world's greatest living explorer, a title that was bestowed to him by the Guinness Book of World Records in 1984, and for a very good reason. His record-breaking expeditions include the first surface journey around the Earth's polar axis, unsupported crossings of Antarctica, and climbing Mount Everest at the age of 65. Fiennes embodies what it means to push physical and mental limits, proving that endurance and preparation can conquer even the harshest conditions. Fiennes has faced frostbite, heart surgery, and countless setbacks, yet he continues to pursue extreme challenges. His mantra, the only limits are those we impose on ourselves. And how can we, as hikers, as bushwalkers, push our limits to achieve extraordinary feats, just like the world's greatest explorers? Now, while most of us won't attempt polar expeditions, Fiennes's dedication to preparation and pushing through discomfort is a valuable lesson for any hiker. Endurance, both mental and physical, is key to conquering tough trails and enjoying the journey. Practical tips: train your body and mind. Build endurance with regular hikes, gradually increasing distance and difficulty. Mental endurance comes from embracing discomfort, like trekking in the rain or tackling a tough climb. Gear up for success. Invest in quality gear that can handle the conditions you plan to face. Waterproof boots, breathable layers, and trekking poles can make a big difference on demanding trails. Know your limits and when to rest. Recognize when to take a break to avoid burnout or injury. Pushing slightly outside your comfort zone is fine, but it's equally important to listen to your body and to prioritize safety. Ranulph Fiennes shows us that adventure is about preparation. It's also about perseverance and discovering what we're truly capable of. With the right mindset and planning, you can confidently face challenges and make every hike more rewarding. And if you want to see how I prepare for walks, then check out this series here, starting with that video right there, where I go into my full breakdown of planning for a 10-day off-track mission.